Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. We are looking at Uncanny X-Men number 150. Double-sized issues, 41 pages. Not actually double, because it was 20. I think it was 22 pages. So, oh no, it is a double-sized issue. My bad. So here we go. X-Men versus Magneto. All right, great cover here, and we've got Sprite being. Is she possibly dead? Who knows? Well, we know she's not dead because this comic is 50 years old. Well, not quite 50, but 45 years old. So, cover is by Dave Cockrum with Joe Rubinstein. I first saw this as now by this time it was X-Men Classic. This cover here is by Andy Kubert. He is inking himself, very similar. Before Andy turned into a Jim Lee clone, which is what Marvel had him do, he actually looked more like his dad with the heavy brush that his dad uses. So, all right, the title of today's story is I, Magneto. First, I love the screen tones being used. Absolutely love it. Right there on the helmet. So, he goes and says, I, Magneto, offer the people of the world a choice. You have 7 days to see me total political control, or I will end life on Earth as you know it. The animals, too. Oh, God, Magneto, such a monster. All right, again, look at the screen tone. Just absolutely beautiful. We got our team here. Claremont, of course, is a longtime writer. This is Claremont's 56th issue of Uncanny X-Men, not counting the annuals. And Dave Cockrum with Joseph Rubinstein and Bob Wyacek doing the inking. And then we got two letters. So we, of course, can see here that this part is Orzakowski, but not this part here. So, again, screen tones here, absolutely wonderful. So we got, but then President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, then Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. This isn't Gorbachev, so I have no idea who this is. And then this is in China, and is this Mao? Was this Mao during this time? Maybe. So he basically wants them all to cede control of him. So he says, I am a mutant, homo superior, possessing powers and abilities that set me apart and above common humanity. Because we are different. That's such a Claremont trope. It says that all the time. I and my fellow mutants have been hunted down and slain like wild animals. Those killings will stop. All killings will stop. The nuclear powers have the capability of expunging all life from this planet daily. The risk of such a holocaust increases, yet the leaders of those nations seem not to care. Don't worry, Magneto. Doesn't change in 2024. So, indeed, some view nuclear war as inevitable. Some have the audacity to view such conflict as desirable. You are welcome to exterminate yourselves if you wish. But in the process, you might destroy my people as well. That I will not allow. So we got all these different places here. So Magneto's showing up to everyone at the same time. Within this week, all the world's nations will initiate complete disarmament of their nuclear and conventional weaponry. By the way, this lettering here is different also. Any state which refuses to comply with these terms will be destroyed. Any foolish enough to open hostilities with me will not survive to regret it. So he continues here. My terms are not negotiable. This is an ultimatum. Ignore it at your peril. And end transmission. So we get a little bit of exposition, but we don't really need it here because, I have a playlist. Feel free to Um, check it out. I actually have the original issues or the original issue that I had on the classic X-Men, but I also actually have recently bought this issue. I've been trying to go back because I don't really buy modern comic books. That doesn't mean I never buy them. I hardly buy them, and had decided to just spend my money buying back issues. So Magneto says in the end they will surrender. So as usual, says Cyclops, Magneto, you are celebrating before your victories. One, suppose someone calls your bluff. And so it says here, of course, that voice belongs to Scott Summers, but all we have to do is just look under the panel. This is one of the things that drove some people crazy, is you don't need this part here because you have this here. So, you should know better than that, Cyclops. I do not bluff. Why? Why are you doing this? To make the world safer for mutant kind? Mutant kind. And he says, yes, Cyclops, that's precisely why. So, he's saying how much money the government wastes on weapons. Buddy, if he only knew. If he only knew where we were going to get in 2024. Oh, that it doesn't change. Life, people, if you're listening to this, it doesn't change. Technology may change. Humans remain the same. So, mutants ruling. He says, I offer a golden age of which humanity has never imagined. And so, with mutants ruling the earth and you ruling mutants, yes, is that so terrible a thing to contemplate? It's kind of funny where the X-Men are now or what they had just completed with the Krakoa. But now they're going back to status quo. So I guess Krakoa was all for nothing. Although technically all comic books are all for nothing because they all reset all the time here. And so Lee says, what about freedom? And so I love this. Freedom. There are more people starving today than there are those who can truly call themselves free. I offer peace and a good life, or a swift and terrible death. The choice is theirs. He's absolutely right. For myself, I'm tired of seeing things as they are and asking why, of dreaming of things that never were and asking why not. I have the power to make my dreams reality, and that I shall do. By the way, Cyclops, who is this Lee Forrester woman? I thought you loved Jean Grey. And Cyclops is like, she died last year. How? And so we go back through the Dark Phoenix, so we get a little bit of a recap. And so Magneto says, I'm truly sorry. And Cyclops just kind of smacks him away. Spare me your hypocrisy, Magneto. And Magneto goes, she was an honorable foe, Cyclops, as are all the X-Men, worthy of respect. I cared for her. I grieve for her. I know something of grief. Search throughout my homeland, you will find none who bear my name. Mine was a large family, and it was slaughtered without mercy, without remorse. So speak not to me of grief, boy. You know not the meaning of the word. He is Jewish, and his family was killed during the Holocaust. So there's a siren here. Cyclops asks what it is. He says, it's my sensor computer sounding the alarm. We are under attack, and uses his power to retrieve his helmet. And here come the nukes. Or ballistic. Yep, it was nukes. So he grabs them and he sends them back into the ocean. And he says, now that I've dealt with that threat, I am free to turn my attention to the vessel that launched the missiles and the fools who ordered the launch. And Cyclops is like, no, you can't. Magneto, let them alone. I will show them the same mercy they intended for me. That magnetic force field will ensure, Cyclops, that you do not interfere. So you can see here, Cyclops is surrounded again. Some wonderful screen tones here. This will come back when X-Men are relaunched as X-Men 1 during Chris Claremont's last run when he was with Jim Lee. So, and we see here the sub, and he shows up. He's speaking in Russian. He says, your government was warned not to attack me, Captain. It is unfortunate that you and your crew must pay the price for their stupidity. And so you can see he's causing circuits, and the submarine is going down. They're sinking. You can see here, how deep is the bottom before our keel? 7,000 meters, Captain. Water pressure will implode the hull and crush us at less than 1,000 meters. And so now in Moscow, they're like, They've lost contact with the Leningrad, which is the name of the sub, and he says, "Bring all forces to full alert and inform the premier." And so Magneto appears to him and says, "You will do nothing. Behold, humans, the merest fraction of Magneto's power." So they take a look, and this is a city of Varikino, which I think is made up, but you can see Magneto opening into the Earth's crust, letting lava and magma come out. Love the coloring here. I truly love magenta and when it's used. And so my next targets, comrades, could be Moscow. And if there is a next time, be assured that I will not be so merciful. Take heed, Comrade Premier. You hold the lives of countless millions in your hands. So, all right. So now we've got Sunset here in this. As I said, I have if you want to know where this is, it's somewhere in the Bermuda or near the Bahamas. So, and so Lee is kind of looking out, and he says, "Am I intruding? Do I need to leave?" I just love the way they're dressed. And so Lee asks, "What's going to happen to us?" And Cyclops says, "I don't know. Magneto believes he holds all the cards. Who knows? Perhaps he does this time. But you intend to fight him anyway." And Cyclops says, "I have to. Magneto's way is wrong. The peace he offers is illusory. His golden age will last until he dies, if that long, and it will end as it began, in blood. So, I wish you weren't involved. I wish you were somewhere safe. There's nowhere safe. But if I'm to die, I'd rather do it with someone I care for." So, they kiss, and it says here, unnoticed as their embrace becomes a kiss, a jet soaring high above the island is enveloped in a corona of blinding magnetic energy. Neither Scott nor Lee look up. Neither see it begin to fall. So, of course, it is the X-Men. So, Nightcrawler, what's happening to us? Says Storm. And Nightcrawler says, "I wish I knew. Our entire electrical system short-circuited and exploded. Someone do something about those fires aft. The controllers are frozen." And he says, "We're locked in a full power dive. I can't pull us out." And Wolverine's like, "What the flaming?" And Storm yells out for Wolverine, and Kitty says, "Storm, he was getting a sandwich from the supply locker room. He isn't strapped in. Grab him, Colossus." And so, always keep your seatbelt on. And he ends up hitting her, and of course he's made out of metal, so probably already knocked off, unconscious. And of course we gotta mention that his skeleton is laced with adamantium. So down goes the X-Men here, and Colossus grabs the controls here. Kitty's trying to wake up Storm, and eventually does. And she kind of gets to, and then begins to use her powers to stabilize and safely landed in the water. I mean, as safe as you can get into a water landing. And so here we've got Professor X I think he's with Corbeau again, and Moira McTaggart is there as well as Carol Danvers. And it tells you here, hey, you need more? See Avengers Annual 10, which, by the way, I have covered prior to this. It is in the playlist. So, the Blackbirds off radar too. I can't raise them. So, Trouble Charles, and he says possibly Moira. And so Peter says here, they were overflying Julian K. Given the right winds, the right currents, and a lot of luck, Scott and Captain Forrester should have been swept in that direction. And Carol Danvers says, wouldn't the Coast Guard already have searched there? And so he says, not necessarily. 2 ships were lost that night. They were swept overboard. It's a miracle their trawler Arcadia made it back to port. So, and that they're located in the heart of the Bermuda Triangle, which is really not really a thing. And so the Blackbird's now at the bottom of the ocean. Man, Professor X must be a millionaire. So Storm, of course, goes out. She's in her bathing suit, so hopefully she's got her stuff. And I love this. Colossus doesn't even have his boots on. So, all right. Off goes the X-Men, and Colossus has now, he doesn't need to breathe when he is Colossus, but when he turns human, by the way, pants show up when he turns human, and now he can't breathe, and he's like, oh, the water's filling my lungs, I'm drowning, too far ahead, I cannot speak, call on radio, they cannot see, do not realize, Ororo, sister, help me, Kitty, my Katarina, ugh. So, alright, so now we've got a full moon, because hey, it's comic books, we always gotta have a full moon here. Cyclops is sleeping, and here's Lee Forrester. And she goes, I'm glad he told me about the X-Men. Explains a lot about him and the force beams he fires from his eyes. He loves his teammates very much, and he cares for me. He believes in me enough to trust me with that secret. He's a good man. Dad would have liked him. I won't let him fight Magneto alone. And so she hears something and goes through, and here you can see Wolverine catch her and then throw her. Of course, I don't know why they keep him in shadows, because you can see him here. And so he's like, who are you? And Wolverine's like, shut up, not a sound, or you're dead. And so they got Colossus here, and she hears the name, so she knows who they are here. And she says, are you people the X-Men? I'm Lee Forrester, a friend of Scott Summers. And so, how's that luck? We've been searching all over for you two. And so here they are carrying Colossus here. And they're wondering why he turned human. I don't know. I don't know why they put the pants on him. I don't get it. And so, and you can see Kitty has feelings for him. But it is real weird, even in 1981, that a 21, 22-year-old, which is what Colossus is, would be in love with a 13, 14-year-old kid, which is what Kitty is. It's inappropriate at any age during any time frame. So, all right. So, I'm surprised they got Wolverine with wet hair, because they always have him looking with that. Even that, see here, that's just pretty cool here. All right, so they're gonna check up on Colossus. They got no heartbeat, so they'll start CPR. And here they even tell you what CPR stands for: cardiopulmonary resuscitation. So off they go doing compressions, and here he goes, and he coughs, and he is alive. So Wolverine picks up a scent. He's also barefooted. So, how funny here. And so he says, a scent. I guess I was so wrapped up in saving Colossus that I didn't notice it before. It's real faint. The breeze is pushing it away from me. I can't quite get a handle of it. I think it's a guy. He knows how to move too and use cover. I can't see or hear him. Something about this scent, it feels awfully familiar. Why can't I place it? And here we got looking for me short stuff. And so, of course, we got a before the reveal. And it happened to be Cyclops here. So how could he not place it? So they're all happy to see him. So they ask about his optic beams. He says, and I know I normally read along, but this is a double-sized issue. I will be here an hour and a half if I start reading everything, because Chris Claremont just puts in too many words. So, eventually Cyclops says here, Magneto doesn't even know you're here, and even if he did, he'd believe us all to be helpless. He's in for a very big surprise. So miraculously, they all find their boots, and they're all gonna go down. They get to this room here. Wolverine's gonna use his claws to open it up, and they're going into this futuristic room in here, and this is where his, I guess, the energy source for this island is. So Storm uses her thievery. She used to be a thief to kind of open the doors here. And they're going into this computer room here. She says, he has to use the computers because Magneto just can't keep all that under manual here. So he has to have stuff written down. So Kitty thinks she found it, but she's written in a foreign language and probably in code too. And she says, I can't understand a word of that. So we're about halfway through. So far so good. So Storm feels bad that Kitty is not able to help like they thought, but she sees this door and she wonders why it could be. And of course, it is Magneto's room. So she says that she should kill him. Wolverine would do it without hesitation, but of course, she's not Wolverine here. So Nightcrawler has figured out, but it's not able to shut down the weapon there. And so Wolverine says, well, if we can't shut it down, let's wreck it. Typical. He asks Nightcrawler if he can climb on it. He says the metal's probably slippery and there are no hands or footholds, but it's worth the try. So, or maybe not, but to climb over. And you can see Wolverine kind of trying to balance himself there. So Nightcrawler says here, remember, you're only to weaken these beams. Gravity and the device's own weight should do the rest. And once you begin cutting, we must move at top speed. Our attack will probably trigger every alarm in this place. So, and Wolverine's like, is this fast enough for you? So, Wolverine is surprised that there's no more automatic security systems like robots or anything like that. And Nightcrawler just assumes that he hadn't had the time or opportunity to install any. So his loss is their gain, says Wolverine. But here you can see it starting to fall, and Wolverine loses his balance. So Nightcrawler throws himself to catch him, and so he uses his tail, and remember here that Nightcrawler used to be a trapeze artist, and throws him toward Colossus, who does catch him, and you can see here Cyclops is holding him, and then here comes Nightcrawler. So Storm is still deciding whether to kill Magneto or not, and I am a huge fan of Chris Claremont, but geez Louise, come on. And so she's going to grab the knife, and I mean, I do like this part where she's kind of struggling as to whether or not she should kill him or not. But she goes, oh, I can't. But of course, at that time, he wakes up, and he's like, what the hell? And so he tosses her out, and then he uses his powers to somehow get dressed, so his thing might be made out of nanites or something. So he goes, Storm wouldn't come here alone, so he knows that the X-Men are with her. So, here's Xavier, who happens to be nearby in that boat. And, of course, he's got an astral projection, but he's got the helmet that doesn't allow him to get in. But Magneto is using his powers from way far away to... Why doesn't he... There's got to be a better way than just using his power to turn some... If he can control it that, then just get rid of the boat. So he sees Magneto kind of doing this, and he's taking the chair, and so off he goes. And so Wolverine is still trying to destroy this thing, and finally they let this thing fall here, and Colossus catches him. So Magneto says, if you would like to be there waiting for it when it lands, Wolverine, I'm sure it can be arranged. And Wolverine goes, I had a feeling this caper was going too good to be true. And Cyclops says, you can do what you like to us, Magneto. I always say, it's called a magnet. Shouldn't it be Magneto? But Magneto does sound better, but it should be Magneto. Anyway, but at least you'll destroy no more cities, endanger no more innocent lives. We've beaten you. And so I almost said Magneto. Magneto says, perhaps, Cyclops, I commend you all for your ingenuity, your ability, your courage. Once more, the X-Men have proven themselves the worthiest of foes. Regrettably, though, you made a valiant effort. So you can see here he's got Professor X, Kitty, who's going by Sprite at this time, then Ariel, then Shadowcat. So, but it's a wasted one. Behold, and he rebuilds this whole thing. I'm quite sure there was stuff inside that you got to make sure that it goes all the way through. But that's all right. It's comic books. Let's not overthink it here. So, we're trying to hurry here. We got about 12 pages left here. So, to forestall any thought of escape, the metal wall is imprisoning us. There is a way to defeat me, Cyclops, but smashing this mechanism is not it. And thus, Colossus says, where is Storm, Butcher? I have sent her to a better world, Colossus, and if you do not moderate your insolent tone, I will send you to join her. You killed her. I did, child. I thought though it gave me no pleasure to do so. Of course, he did not. And she's got weather powers, so. And so, that's right. They have no powers while they are in there. So, she managed to grab with the her cape there, and she pulls herself up. So she says, no sign of Magneto. Now I'm saying it. All right, no sign of Magneto. And Storm says, Kitty said this computer was important. Let's see what harm can I do by smashing them. So, of course, she not only that, but it blows up. I mean, why do things just blow up? And suddenly the powers are back. And so here comes Cyclops energy beams. And so Cyclops kind of closes his eyes so Magneto doesn't know that. And he says, I like your attitude, Magneto. Kill Storm, kill us all. I suppose it's a case of destroying mutant kind in order to save it. I no longer bear the X-Men any ill will, Cyclops, but I will brook no opposition. Tough luck, mister, because opposition is what you are going to get. And he uses his beams. He's free. Frees that. Puts on his thing. And here come the X-Men. Dave Cockrum. He's kind of growing on me again, but he is no John Byrne. I know I say this a lot every single time, but Cockrum was fine for his first run, but then when you go to John Byrne back to Cockrum, it does seem like a step back. His work does seem to be dated, kind of like John Romita. He's kind of stuck in that era. But I suppose maybe everybody is, but because I'm such a huge fan of John Byrne and Walt Simonson, a lot of people that were around in the 80s, but Cockrum just doesn't do it for me. But X-Men will get better. So here comes Nightcrawler, hits Magneto in the back with that pipe, and then disappears. Colossus hits that thing, so it lands on Magneto, but that doesn't work. He lifts it up, and so how do you propose to stop me, Colossus? And so Cyclops says, we'll keep throwing things at him until he finally does. And so loved a little bit of yellow here. And so all the X-Men are trying to hit him, but Magneto has protected himself, and finally Storm calls out his name, hits him with a thunderbolt, and she says, you should have made sure I was dead. So she creates a tornado here, and he's going to use Colossus to send her to Storm. That's when he should have turned into a human. So he's going to aim it at everybody. Professor X is going to use his mental abilities to try to stop it. I love how they just show this, just because, you know, it's a good way to signal to the person looking at it. So you see again, it hits Magneto, even though he has his helmet, if not for his helmet. And so Wolverine smashes the helmet, And so he's like, enough, and he pushes them all away. And Colossus goes to Sprite here and says Magneto has to align his energy projector with incredible precision. That requires absolute accurate computations. His computers are the key. Sprite, find them, destroy them. He's out of business. He can do it. And so she goes to the wall and says, sure. And so here come the X-Men to fight. Magneto knows that it's a diversion. And she's like, surrender, Magneto. We have no wish to harm you. And she says, I believe you, but I will never surrender. And he's like, magnificent, because he has beaten the X-Men again. And so she gets through the thing. And so she's going to do, because her power will kind of destroy things. And so Magneto's still fighting. And how did she get into the water? Oh, he teleports her, and they land in the water because she's hot. And so we got 4 pages left here. You're a fool, Colossus. I can crush your still body with a thought. I sense a disruption in the matrix patterns of my library computers, magnetic memory cores. Curse you, X-Men. Do you have any conception of what you're doing? You are destroying the work of a lifetime, data that can never be replaced. Psyche's going after Kitty. We gotta warn her. And so Magneto comes through. How dare you? Odoto, help me. She cannot save you. No one can save you. Everywhere I turn, every move I make, you X-Men are always there to oppose me. And so he starts to lunge at Kitty, and he tries to touch him, but she ends up screaming because he uses a lethal amount of electricity, because magnets actually can generate electricity. Magneto is actually quite powerful. Truly is. He could be one of the more powerful characters, period. If he truly, when they did the Ultimate Universe, and they had that thing where Magneto tries to destroy the Earth. It is, what was that called? I forgot what it was called, but he really could. If Magneto wanted to destroy the planet, he can. So, he realizes he's just a kid, and he's like, "What have I done? Why did you resist? Why did you not understand? Magda, my beloved wife, did not understand when she saw me use my power. She ran from me in terror. It did not matter that I was defending her, that I was avenging our murdered daughter." If you've followed me and followed these videos, I used classic X-Men and there was a lot of exposition. These stories were actually covered quite well in there. I swore that I would not rest till I created a world where my kind, mutants, could live safe and free and unafraid, where such as you, little one, could be happy. Instead, I have slain you. And so, here comes Storm, and he's like, no, if you have a deity, Butcher, pray to it. As a boy I believed, as a boy I turned my back on God forever. Kill me if you wish, Wind Rider, I will not stop you. So this is the beginning of Magneto's face turn, meaning we're gonna see him kind of turn into a good guy before we go back to a bad guy. It's complicated, but Claremont wanted to have Magneto be a good guy, so this is sort of the beginning of that turn. So Storm says, "Give me the child," and so it says here, of course, that with the exposition that Kitty's basically was phasing at the same time, so it did not cause her too much harm here. So at the end, the X-Men are now, just after that fight there, and they break that thing, they're all just kind of sitting on the beach having a beach day here. And finally we get, like, how are we gonna save the Blackbird? So He's like, use the Force like Luke Skywalker. So she's doing it, and she's like, I can't believe it. Oh my God, I didn't know you had that power. And of course, it was Colossus. And so, um, this concludes X-Men 150. X-Men -1 is the next issue. Um, but we will actually be covering X-Men, Uncanny X-Men Annual 5. Like and subscribe. I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.